And so in particular, what we want to think about is the particular flies on cattle right now. We have three main species that we're worried about getting on cattle. One are stable flies that are normally biting them on the legs, and then what they particularly do cause a lot of pain for the cattle, so it'll cause them to bunch up. And then we have horn flies that are typical in Oklahoma that we see every year, that are smaller fly that cluster up on the back and side. It can cause a lot of production losses if left untreated. And then lastly, we do have a fly in Oklahoma that can transmit a particular pathogen that causes pink eye, and that's known as face fly.
With the face fly, is there anything that can be done about the possible transmission of pink eye?
One of the best things that are out there for face flies in general is to put an insecticide ear tag in the cattle, and one that's usually in the pyrethroid class, because it could kill those flies, but it could also repel those flies. The other thing is just some preventative things that if you have pink eye within your herd, just make sure you're taking some proper sanitation practices when you're handling each animal, so you're not transmitting that pathogen, which is a bacteria, and so it's a bacteria that causes pink eye, known as Moraxella bovis. And once you get that bacteria within your herd, sometimes it can just be transmitted from animal to animal, from grass to animal, from just handling the animals. And then flies can be a small component of that. And in particular, face flies are specialists because they have a structure that allows them to scratch the eye a little bit better, more so than a housefly would. And so that's why they're better at transmitting the pathogen that causes pink eye. And in general, we're not too worried about pink eye transmitted by houseflies. You'll see houseflies out there, but if you see a lot of flies are in and around the face and you start seeing a higher occurrence of pink eye, then you probably need to implement some kind of fly control.
There's also been some word about possibility of some mosquito-borne.
Yeah, so what we certainly need to be concerned with is this year's amount of mosquitoes that are out there. In particular for horse owners, you need to make sure you're up to date on your boosters with the West Nile virus vaccinations. And we have mosquitoes that are not only active year to year, but we'll probably have an abundance of mosquitoes, especially as it warms up and dries out a little bit. Because the excessive rain, there's not a lot of mosquitoes, but when that excessive rain starts to dry down and there's pockets of standing water, then that's when our mosquito population can really be prolific and cause some issues with West Nile virus, especially among horses.
Is there anything that producers can do to control the mosquitoes aside from just flipping a bird feeder or whatever?
Yeah, so the biggest thing about mosquitoes in and around horse operations is that try to find those breeding sources. So standing water, if there's standing water, you need to either treat that water with the larvicide or get rid of that water. Think about where the mosquitoes could be resting. And so if you have a lot of weeds, broadleaf weeds around your barn, your horse barn, or around horse stalls, then it's harboring mosquito resting sites and a lot of people aren't thinking about that because they don't necessarily see it. And it's really ineffective to treat those other than just getting rid of the weeds.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Justin Talley, Extension Livestock Entomologist with Oklahoma State University.